Dear friends, dear partners, I recognize many faces here with us today, and it's a real pleasure to have you for the 4th edition of the Zermatt Summit. The whole meeting will be strictly in English this year, so I hope everybody will be able to follow us. In recent years, we have all experienced the drastic change created by globalization in economic, social, and political fabrics of society. A widening wealth distribution gap, a lack of long-term employability, climate change, increasing volatility in global economy, growing skepticism, and even suspicions towards existing institutions. They are just a few examples of the challenges we're facing. The response so far has been less than adequate. It is now time to act. Time for a more comprehensive, holistic approach, integrating the contribution that all key players, government, business, civil society, need to bring to the table. Compartmentalizing problems used to be a successful approach in many cases. However, some of the issues we're facing today are so complex that it is impossible to address them successfully without taking into account the whole picture, without looking at the ways issues impact one another. A key illustration of this new paradigm is that it is now impossible to look at the economy, to make economic or corporate policy decisions without consideration for the human environmental impact of such decisions. In the same way, while fully recognizing the logic and objective of business, we increasingly realize that there is much more than just a business dimension to the activities of multinational corporations. To put it simply, governments, corporations, individuals need to embrace new perspective, new ways of approaching issues, new operating processes. Up to the last part of last century, governments and business, the state and the private sector, were mostly two key actors, the movers and the shakers. But the emergence of civil society as a very potent and increasingly assertive force has been a major new development brought by globalization. In the same way, as a result of globalization, the Western world absolute prominence on the global scene is now being replaced by a new power architecture in which emerging market countries are more and more asserting their voices, their priorities, and their expectations. More than ever, we need to put the human being back at the very center of the economic activity. We have to integrate the concept of finance serving the economy, not the other way around. Economy serving the common good, and the common good serving the human being. We also have to recognize that business and civil society cannot exist and operate at best in silo mode, at worst in confrontation. They increasingly need to find collaborative formula that will respect their respective specific roles. In the same way, while the profit and non-profit sectors have their own logic, they need to be seen more and more as complementary in their mission, as well as with respect to their domain they cover. The Rana Plaza tragedy in Dhaka, Bangladesh, with its 1,300 workers dead under the rubble of a grossly inadequate building, has forced major clothing brands to audit their supply chain in order to ensure greater safety and better working conditions for the people at the bottom of the global supply chain. These 1,300 deaths, and all those that have gone unnoticed before by the international media, could and should have been avoided if there had been a better collaboration between the corporate world and the NGOs involved. And if governments had not waited until the tragedy happened to stop turning a blind eye to unacceptable abuses. The overall theme of this fourth Zermatt Summit, building a partnership of winners between NGO and business, aims to encourage a broader, more productive, action-oriented dialogue between actors who have yet to move from suspicion or awkward collaboration to a genuine mode of partnership taking different forms. These partnerships are in line with two guiding principles. We need to put the human being at the center of the economic process, and the second one is the role that hybrid organizations, a mixture of profit and non-profit, bring together, these two dimensions bring together, can now play in creating a more inclusive prosperity. I would like to conclude with a quote from Pope Francis. The current crisis is not only economic and financial, but it is rooted in an ethical and anthropological crisis. Concerns with the idols of power, money, and profit, rather than with the value of the human person, has become a basic operating norm and a critical criteria for organizations. We have forgotten something important that is above and over business logic and market parameters. And that something is men and women, in as much as they are human beings, by virtue of their profound dignity. We need to offer them the possibility of a dignified life, actively participating to the common good. We wish you a very good 4th Zermatt Summit. Thank you very much.